I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sage, joined by my buddy Patrick McCray and my buddy Gordon Dymowski. We're here to discuss episode 1070, 1995. The future looks very, very bad. This episode is narrated by Thayer David. It's written by Sam Hall, and it's directed by Henry Kaplan. So, guys, you have Julia betraying Barnabas. Judah Zacher, we'll say, pretty much, has got Julia under his control. What did you guys think of this episode?
It's profoundly creepy. I mean, it really is. I mean, specifically the Julia Gerard subtext that's going on, which is really, really, I mean, it's all in my imagination, but it's pretty boldly in my imagination.
Yeah, and this episode, there is a lot happens in the space of 22 minutes, and I think it's really good, not just the atmosphere, but I think it shows how Sam Hall was really good at like just moving things forward with very minimal fanfare. And I kind of wonder if weeks before this, if Dan Curtis came to the writer's room and had a come to Jesus moment where he's wielding a golf club and saying, you need to get off your asses and tell better stories. Because this is where Dark Shadows really shifts into gear. And a special cameo from Smashing Pumpkins doing Zero, which is always.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, with this episode, I really like the fact that you get the sheriff trying to kill Barnabas, and the ghost saves him. The ghost of Carrie saves his butt. It's like, holy heck. It's like, and this actually comes into play later because I love Barnabas's sort of cry for help here, or plea for help later on. He's like, you helped us once before. And it's so touching to see Barnabas in that sort of moment where he's actually asking for help. He knows the chips are down and they're in deep trouble.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I've always felt that's sort of what makes a hero here. Someone who's not so proud that they won't ask for help. They know when they need it. And I love that out of Jonathan Fritz Barnabas in this episode. I think it's such a key pivotal moment for the character. What did you guys think?
Hi, Gordon.
I think this may be, and I'm probably misremembering something, but this may be the first time I've ever seen Barnabas have a sense of humility about a situation. It seems like every time he's faced with a crisis, it's never, oh, please help me. It's, we're going to do this. We're going to get through this, whether he's a vampire or whether he's in human form. This is the first time where he knows the chips are down, but he doesn't try to blitz through it. He's actually very gentle and very empathic towards Julia, even though she's basically been trying to screw him over.
He has every reason to take exception to these antics, if you want to call them that, but he doesn't. That says a lot.
Mm-hmm. And I think it really contrasts with Gerard / Judah, who is not only cruel to Julia, not by manipulating her, but by making her remember what she did.
Yes.
I really like James Storm's facial expression when they're in the drawing room, him and Julia, and Julia's like, "Please go, just leave. I betray him. Isn't that enough?" She just wants him to leave her alone.
Yeah, that's not in the cards.
Right. I love he's just the cat that ate the canary in this episode. And to see, I actually like this episode too for another reason. You see a ghost literally lock a door in this episode. It's just fun.
It's got to happen somehow, you know.
What did you guys think of that? Because Gerard Stiles, James Steward's character, you see him lock Barnabas and Julia in a room. It's just creepy.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to keep them? I guess he could use like mental powers or something to hold them in there.
And also, they probably used all their effects budget for that shot of Carrie or Hallie or whoever walking through and finding the door.
I love the door, coming and going like that. I really, really, really like that. Yeah, that's always great stuff.
But also,
no, I was just going to say it's a very real effect. I mean, I just recognize it as this is what the supernatural would look like in my humble, estimation.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Gordon?
Well, I was about to say that, with Gerard locking the door, I think it's part of, I think that in 1995, the whole Gerard, I would call him Gerard rather than Judah. I think his attitude is, you know what, I've won. So there's nothing you can do about it. I'm not going to expend the energy to walk through the door. I'm just going to go and lock it because guess what? I've won. And all through this storyline, there's never a sense of one-upsmanship. It's basically he knows he's won. So all he's going to do is just, it makes me wonder, when did I Have No Mouth and I Am a Scream come out? Because there is that kind of sense of, no matter what you do, I'm going to keep at you. So you might as well just give in. I might as well remove all hope.
I don't know when that was written. I think before this.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see Sam Hall like reading cutting edge science fiction at the time. I could see him talking to Dan and saying, Dan, Grayson does a really nice party piece. It's like a really unflattering impersonation of Nancy Barrett. We should throw that in the show sometime.
Is it? That was one of the most Mean Girls moments the show has ever given us. I felt like I was going a little too backstage.
What was the name of the thing you just mentioned, Gordon?
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison.
Okay, hold on. I must. See.
That's right, kids. Real-time research. Do it. Google is your friend.
It is.
It won a Hugo Award in 1968.
Okay, so it was.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, definitely before this episode aired, way before. So they could have got it from there, But another moment I like too, because it's very telling too, is you talked about there's no one-upsmanship, and I agree with you, because there's that seance in this episode too that Faraday with Professor Stokes does not want to perform at all, and Barnabas is just like, no, you're gonna do it. This isn't a suggestion. It reminded me of that moment in that one gangster movie where they go, "We're not the cops. We're not asking." I think this is Departed, where Nicholson's like, "I'm not the cops. I'm not asking you." I feel like that's Barnabas in this episode. I'm not the cops. I'm not asking you. But I like that. He's basically, you're going to be...
it's it's a creepy episode. Yeah. What exactly was going on between Gerard and Julia? I mean, seriously, that's the the elephant in the mausoleum.
Here's one for you, and here's my roundabout answer to this. Remember Dan Aykroyd's dream of the ghost, where it's unbuttoning his pants?
Yes, he's in a Napoleonic uniform. He is. Go back and watch it. He's in a Napoleonic.
Yeah, and there's just a big waiting pool full of Jell-O.
I don't know about that, but if you go back and look at it, the weirdest part about that is he really is in a Napoleonic military uniform. Go back and look at the scene.
Yeah.
I believe you. I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, because I think it's one of the most bizarre elements of a movie that's too strange to have been the biggest moneymaker of 1984, and yet it was.
Yeah.
There's a better time.
Though that movie is more, that scene in that movie is more, blunt in what it's saying with its ghost. Like, hey, what would it be like to make love with a ghost? I feel Dark Shadows asked that question long, long time ago. It sort of asked it first, if you will.
Yeah, it does.
That because who's to say
yeah,
a ghost?
It did. It was,
who's to say a ghost can't love? I mean, Gerard, and really when we meet Gerard Stiles, we see how much of a ladies' man he is. I mean, really, he's a smooth talker. So it's like you're sort of until you actually get the reveal of the head of Judah Zachary, and then you see how easily Julia came under that spell in 1840. You're sort of left to, well, you can sort of see how Gerard seduced Julian, and then we get the head of Judah Zachary. So I think we have this really cool moment of, here's this woman who's always wanted the attention of Barnabas Collins, and finally this ghost is giving her the attention she's always wanted from Barnabas.
See, I'm gonna differ with that. I don't think it's romantic at all. I think it's all telepathic. It's all mind games.
Yeah.
Because that's how Judah Zachary has tended to operate. We later find out, oh yeah, he was a warlock. He had all these followers. So I don't think it's a case that he is. I don't think there's any physical stuff. It's all in her head, but he's manipulating what's going on in her head.
Hold on. I got a question about that because this was I'm glad you guys are getting around to it because this is my central question here. It's not a tasteful question, but it's a legitimate one. Hang on.
Yep. Personally, I prefer to be Gerard Stiles on the streets, Quentin Collins in the sheets. Just saying. Well, hey, Patrick's off camera. Someone's got to put out the comedy here.
What happened? There's comedy. Not if I have anything to do with it. But all seriousness aside, what was the mind game that he did? Is it some weird Cronenbergian thing? Did he give her himself as Barnabas? And, the whole time she kind of realized this is just an ugly sort of holodeck type illusion.
Yeah, I think it's basically he is like manipulating her emotions on a telepathic level. I don't think they're like sneaking off to, bump uglies. I'm not sure if Sam Hall would be like, okay, I got this handsome young guy and Grayson. Do I really want to write a scene between the two of them? Although he probably would have said, hey, maybe I'll write some fan fiction involving me and one of the actresses. It's not Grayson. Ha ha ha.
I don't think, I have no reason to believe this is what happened. However, if I saw this episode and someone told me that the female had an affair and that the male wanted to make her feel really bad, he would have written this exact episode. That didn't happen. I'm not saying that happened.
Right.
But in the sort of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf world that I suspect Sam and Grayson kind of drifted near now and then, boy, this thing is like straight out of Edward Albee.
You remember, I think what Gerard does to the mind is sort of what Sybok does in the Final Frontier, if you will.
I'm so glad you made that shout out. Now you got me. Just whatever you cited Sybok.
Well,
Sybok!
But not in the where Cyborg's doing it to show them like the mistakes or whatever, maybe it was or wasn't a mistake, depending on your interpretation. What we don't get to necessarily see what Gerard's doing to them, but we can sort of maybe interpret that whatever he's doing to their mind, it is literally breaking their will the way sort of Cyborg did in the Final Frontier. To that, but to a darker degree, if you will.
But with Barnabas, Barnabas needs his pain. He doesn't want his pain taken away. His pain is what makes him who he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vulcan princess. Cybok, son of a Vulcan princess. It's wonderfly bad writing. I adore it.
Hey, in Spock's over, you get to see his birth in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and yet the movie feels like his afterbirth.
And he's name checked at the end of season 1 of in the episode The Serene Squall of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
His first name is Chad.
Yeah, Chad Cybok of Brooklyn, New York.
I think it was originally it was Chad Barceric.
Mm-hmm. But Barceric, there's a real Chad Barceric, and I think he sued, so they had to change it to Cybok.
He was a Polish wrestler. Okay, anyway, no wrestling, Jewel. No, we're not talking about wrestling. I'm still waiting to talk about Glow. You wore me down to a musical number.
Yeah, I watched, and although I love the musical number, I was thinking they're supposed to talk about Glow. Jewel always loves to talk about wrestling, but no, he had to get you to sing, and I want to apologize, Patrick. That was not fair of him to do to you.
I thought my voice sounded pretty good.
Yeah, it did, but that's not the. But you know what else is good? Dark Shadows episode 1070.
Yes.
That's the one where Gerard does this weird thing to Julia. I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the seance that Barnabas has Professor Stokes conduct here?
It's wonderfully horrible. It's desperate and doomed, and ends with Elliot dying and Julia screaming and running away. It shows you beyond a shadow of a doubt exactly what the stakes are. So now they killed Professor Stokes. It is a season of death. I mean, who ends up dying in this? Carolyn twice. Between this and Ragnarok, Carolyn twice, David, Hallie, Elizabeth. I think Barnabas refers to coming back from her funeral that she was one of the people that died. Yeah, because I think even though Joan Bennett wasn't in the episode, she was in the house when the zombies came in. It's a hell of a death. And now Stokes and they get Clarice? They get Mrs. Johnson? Or was she too? Oh, good. It's giving me a thumbs up about
the sheriff
death.
By the way, what is the sheriff's name in this arc, in the 95 arc?
There's Lobo.
Chad Cybok.
Sheriff Cybok. The sea is my grave. He ran with that as his. He ran for office. His campaign slogan.
The only thing we really know about him is that he knew Carolyn when he was younger. Is there any chance this is Buzz?
Buzz was working for Howard Hunt just a few years later, so Buzz would have been serving time at this point. Still.
Yeah. Plus, wouldn't be. He wouldn't let Judah Zachary do him like that. He'd probably just punch him in the gut and go, "Yeah, right."
He'd give Judah the wig.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, legitimately, because this is a whole thing for another podcast. What sort of show would Dark Shadows have been, legitimately, if Dan Curtis had decided to keep Buzz around?
Oh, God.
Would he have been Willie Loomis?
No.
Actually, he'd probably be that one guy in town who's like, Adam's running around to be like, "Hey, we got to take care of this guy with all the scars on his face." You know what I mean? He'd be like the we can't trust the sheriff, man. We got to take matters into our own hands.
Would he have ever become an insider? Would he have known?
Probably not. In fact, I could see where he becomes kind of the especially after the kind of that immediate post Barnabas, he's one of the kind of people in the village who are, you know how Dark Shadows did the people on the hill and then the commoners? He'd be one of the commoners, but he'd be more of the active, hey, there's some really deep crap going on around here. We need to take care of it.
I think they could have written him in where you find out he's Bill Malloy's nephew. Mm-hmm. And that he and Harry grew up kind of together, sort of, because, Clarice was his housekeeper. And that Buzz is actually the good one. Everyone thinks Buzz is the bad one because of how he grooms himself and all of that. Buzz is the good one. And Harry's the rotten one. And that all ends up coming out in the Adam storyline. And Elizabeth ends up putting Buzz to work as her new troubleshooter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's terrific.
Yeah.
His preferred weapon.
I definitely think he would have been used as an avenging character, if you will. A character who would have not necessarily saved the world, but avenged it, if you will. He would have killed the...
No, you know who he'd be? He'd be Stokes' star student. That would be revealed. He's like this weird Dennis Hopper like grad student, and so he's Stokes' muscle. When Stokes, he's like Archie for Nero Wolfe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the great thing is, Stokes would have like all these like nice tie-wearing Joe Haskell types saying, "Oh yes, I want to be a goat. I want to hunt ghosts and do occult stuff." And Stokes is like, "No. I need someone who wants to get his hands dirty. Come on, Buzz, let's go."
He's the only one who calls Buzz Theodore.
Right.
Come, Theo. Man, you're the only one. You're the only one that calls me that.
I should go on Cameo because that way people can pay me to do my bad Thayer David imitation.
I would. But the things I would need you to say would break Cameo's terms of service.
Mm-hmm. But I'd say him anyway.
That's the spirit.
Oh,
I see you brought ample blue cheese tonight. The Roquefort gets caught behind my ears, but I like it.
Now, when we get back from this episode, we're going to be in regular time. Kathy Cody is going to get introduced as Professor Stokes' niece, I believe. So, but we do see her as a ghost first. We meet her as a ghost first. What did you guys think of her as a ghost in these episodes?
She's just a projection of Judah to Zachary. I mean, he led them there to scare the hell out of them and demoralize them, and now he's taking them back. So, show them someone they'll find familiar and sow more paranoia at Collinwood. That's what I think.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of I'll let you out now, because in his mind he's won. He knows 1970 is going to happen. 1970 happens. What he doesn't realize is that, they're going to go back and defeat him.
Yeah, because we don't know how much Judah knows. He obviously knows something about the unstable time portal. Mm-hmm. Because he's able to manipulate it a little bit. I don't think he knows maybe that it can appear of its own will.
Do you think that's because of the way the house is structured? The house having the mind of its own in a way?
No, because I know where you're trying to lead me, Jewel. And you're not going to get me. Collinwood's not alive. The first thing I learned when I gained these powers was how to disassemble myself and put myself together and smell a trap.
I just think that space and time is. I think Collinwood was just built on a place where space and time are so messed up. Of course, stuff like that is going to happen.
Well, it's that Leviathan altar that's been there for thousands of years prior to Collinwood just happening to be built 30 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Seaview Terrace, I never got in the house. I spent all my time looking for the Leviathan altar.
Yeah, yeah, and then what's always annoying is the porta potties nearby, and they're great because if Willie has to he's going back and forth from town, he can stop in, but you never know what's in those porta potties.
When Oberon and Haza have to go, Oberon and Haza have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because they eat those babies whole, their jaws distend. They put the infants in, and then it takes a couple of weeks to work itself through, and the cloaca opens, and their tails go up, and it's awful.
Yep.
If you've ever had to clean up Leviathan, Dookie,
not advisable.
And the thing is, the Leviathan smells so good. They smell like a hot-baked biscuit. Until that moment, or when the urate comes out and it's a solid white.
Well, you do know at the time that in the 1970s, Ivory did have a hot baked biscuit scented soap.
That was my favorite. It was the John Harvey Kellogg, is what they called it.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this episode?
Probably Stokes' death. And just the reaction to it, and that the suddenness of that for me. Although there are lots of it. Julia's shame at dealing with Gerard when Barnabas comes in and says, "Did you know that guy was trying to kill me? Like, oh, while you're supposed to be standing guard. What happened with that? Was like Jeopardy on or something?"
I think my favorite scene is the one where Gerard gives her the knife and she's about to kill herself. Because she sounds so convinced that like his mind game is so exact that she actually believes that, oh, okay, we'll be together if I kill myself.
That weird ecstasy that wraps. Oh, Gordon, you're right. I love that scene. And because at first you think he's giving her like a ritual dagger to go kill Barnabas. And then you realize, oh, wow, this is real Manson time. I mean, if we thought, Jeb Hawks was, the Manson family. Oh God, no. This is very much mind control, Shadow of Sharon Tate stuff. I'm surprised that this section of the Dark Shadows Memories book wasn't written by Vincent Bugliosi.
Yeah, when I was rewatching this episode earlier, my wife's like, is he giving her a dagger? I was like, yeah, he wants her to kill herself. And she's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's what Judah does. He uses you against yourself. Yeah. That's what differentiates him from Quentin.
Yeah.
I mean, Quentin's a good guy ghost.
Yeah, Quentin. The Quentin ghost is mostly just looks at you mean and maybe jerks you around. Gerard is like, I will mess you up.
My two favorite scenes in this episode, obviously, Grayson just telling Gerard, please get away from me. And James Storm's facial expression. My second favorite is the fact when Julia says to Barnabas says that he doesn't know who could have told him, and she's like, don't you? And the realization of it is so good. That it was her that betrayed him. It's so shocking. He does not want to leave without Julia, though. He does not. He's not going to leave 1995 without Julia, and I love that.
He has really come into his own. I mean, he really has. I mean, every chip is down. There's nothing he can do, but by God, he's going to save Julia.
Is there anything you guys want to add about this episode?
It's in a word, it's harrowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's amazing that this actually got televised in the afternoon on a weekday where kids could watch it.
Well, you have guys from Standards and Practices who read the scripts, and I think that's probably when the red pen would come out. And because so little is said, and there's Dark Shadows of Ghost. Okay, and Julie says no. Okay, whatever, guys. Yeah, it's fine. Not realizing what it was going to be directed into.
Yeah, and or Dan Curtis literally just could have gotten a script full of red lines, grabbed a golf club and say, no, we're transmitting this as it's written. And Sanderson practices were like, oh, okay, dude, just don't bare your teeth, because those teeth, Dan Curtis's teeth are scary.
Well, he's got several rows of them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
When one comes out, a new one kind of moves forward.
Someone needs to take the movie Happy Gilmore, and instead of Adam Sandler, somebody needs to mod Dan Curtis's body into Adam Sandler's, to where he's the one being.
I see him as the Bob Barker, but
there's a massage parlor near me that offers a Happy Gilmore. Don't ask me how I know.
You won't have to tell us.
The secret is just a drop of sesame oil.
Oh my God. But really great episode. I love the way it's narrated. I love Sarah David narrating this episode. Really great job. And I love how they take us back to 1970. No Quentin staircase yet. They lock Barnabas and Julie in a room, and a door appears.
I think they're on the staircase.
Well,
that's in that room.
Well, by any chance, here's what I wanted to ask you guys before we go. So you see how the door sort of like appears, right?
Yeah.
When you go watch Beetlejuice, the movie Beetlejuice, any chance this is sort of where Tim Burton becomes a fan of DS? This arc?
No. When did Tim Burton become a fan of Dark Shadows? I saw his movie.
I think I can trace the source of Tim Burton's fandom of Dark Shadows. It's 40 minutes long, and it's called Dark Shadows Bloopers and Outtakes, and was released by MPI in the 90s. There you go.
You could be right. You could be right. No,
Tim, write me a character I get to drink a lot. Yes, dear.
That's what I thought of when I rewatched this episode today. That when I saw the door appear the way it did, I thought of the movie Beetlejuice. I'm sort of wondering if this is sort of the arc where I don't buy that Tim Burton watched every Dark Shadows episode, but I do think he watched some of them, or certain ones of them. And I think this might have been one of the ones, because when you watch Beetlejuice and you watch the door be drawn on the wall, it reminds me of this episode of Dark Shadows where the door just appears on the wall.
Well, can that door appear anywhere?
What's that?
Does the door appear in different places? Can that appear anywhere, or is it localized?
In this episode?
No, just in general.
I think it just appears on the wall in this episode here.
Well, yeah, I know that, but can it appear anywhere in Collinwood?
Maybe, we don't know.
Because I can see Quentin on the pot with a curtain rod, like a shower rod, sort of braced between the door and the wall behind him, trying to keep it closed. Not now, damn it, please. I'm trying to have some dignity. It's always that damn time door. So he starts carrying around, like a drill and a little lock, like that lock they have on Collinwood. Did you ever notice that? What the lock on Collinwood is this little bar. It goes boop. Look at the front door. Like that's gonna hold anybody out. I love it.
Good. I do have a bit of wrestling trivia for you before I go, Patrick. What themes? Ric Flair came down to an 80s theme song by a band called Genesis. Do you know what song he used from them?
That was Phil Rizzuto was in that, wasn't he? Phil, the guy who looked like Judah Zachary, strangely enough. Phil Collins, wasn't he in Genesis?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I have no idea what.
The song "Easy Lover" is the song he comes down to.
Oh yeah, "Easy Lover." I don't know that song.
Oh my God. I will try to teach you guys as much about wrestling as possible. Anyway, no.
Got my singlet ready to go.
It is. What are you guys doing tomorrow night? You good for tomorrow night?
I am on Penny Dreadful.
Cool.
Yeah, she and I and Mary Johnson
There you
are
go.
going to we're going to talk about the audiobook.
Cool.
Mary has still not seen a Dark Shadows episode, but I found this out. She has her degree in psychology from Oxford.
Cool.
Yeah. Jeez. Never knew.
Cool. Cool. So, not tomorrow night is. What about Tuesday night? Is that good?
Tuesday's fine. What do you? That's fine with me, Gordon.
Tuesday's good with me.
What do you want? What do you want to look at?
It's Gordon's turn to pick an episode.
Okay, let's see. Episode. Let's do episode 701.
Oh, I was hoping you would say that.
So
Yeah,
Tuesday,
but Patrick, I think you would hope that I would say any number between. I say any number except those between 1 and 210.
No, let's do 701.
Yes, what I said, 701.
Yeah.
okay, so Tuesday night, 7:01. Tomorrow morning, I'll be doing the Atom arc with Daniel Culver, and then another Dark Shadows video after that. But tomorrow you can catch our buddy Patrick McCray on Penny Dreadful, Terror at Collinwood. So, guys, you have a good night. Links to the Dark Shadows Daybook audio will be in the description box. Links to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page will be in the description box. Guys, have a great night.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.